Hi there, this is Jenny from the Sewing Palace in Helena, Montana. Today I'm going to bring you a fun inspirational project using panels and a border kit, which is this border here. The pattern's designed by a Montana person and we're going to get started. Every month at the Sewing Palace we have a gathering called Sewing Club. Our classroom is filled with fun sewists and we teach a new technique or project. It could be a quilt, it could be a bag, it could be a garment. We have all kinds of fun things to show. Also during that time, the students show off their work, so they do show and tell, and we do a door prize drawing. We've modified that curriculum with the healthcare crisis and we're bringing it to you on video. So you're going to learn how to make the project this month. The other fun thing is we'll still do a door prize drawing, so all you have to do is come visit the shop during the time frame, which is today until Tuesday, August 25th. So we would normally host the class on Tuesday, August 25th, but you get a couple extra days and you get to watch it on video. The door prize drawing is this cool LED light pad and cutting mat, and this is valued at $70. So all you have to do is come in and check out the project and put your name in for the door prize drawing. We'd also love to see your show and tell. Then I'll also show you some fun things to make the project. We have a kit, we have panels, we have some notions that make it really helpful, and those are all 15% off. So they'll be on sale today through Tuesday, August 25th. So take advantage of that. We'd love to see you, and we'll get started. I'm going to start off by showing you the featured items for our sewing club in August. We're going to start with the pattern. This is called A River Runs Thru It. It's written by Sue Hanson, and she owns a quilt shop called Trackside Quilting in Laurel, Montana. So shout out to Sue. So the pattern is what's featured. It has this beautiful border pattern and then the dimensions for cutting your panel. We also have a border kit. So the border kit is what is going to make this entire border, and it has the little flange. There's a small flange on the edge of that. That's all included in the border kit, and it comes with the pattern. So you can get the border kit or you can get just the pattern. There's a few notions that are helpful to use, which are rulers. And so we have 3 rulers that we've selected. One is the 8.5-inch square ruler by Creative Grids, because we're going to be making 8-inch half square triangles, so we'll use that. The other is some strip cutters, so you could choose between one of these, but it's very nice to be able to cut small strips with a smaller ruler. It doesn't have the tendency to slide either way. So this is the 2.5 by 12.5, and then we have the 3.5 by 18.5. So those 2 rulers are featured. The other item that's featured is a rotating mat, because that is helpful to rotate your blocks and trim them down. So I've got one set up here. 2 marking utensils. One is a white iron away fabric pen. So this goes on clear and then it turns white. It's great for batiks or dark fabrics, or you could use a chalk liner. So I'll show you both of those. Those are the featured items for that, and then tons and tons of panels. I'm going to show you the panels because we have so many to show you. We're going to audition them in the center, and that's what's fun about this pattern is you could use whatever panel you want. You just cut it or make that dimension and then add your borders to it. So we'll get started making that and working through the project and showing you the cool panel. All right, the first thing I'm going to show you is all the fun panels, because we have lots of featured panels. This one is called River Runs Thru It. Again, that's from Hoffman fabric. It's got that beautiful river running through it and then the fall trees with all the colors on it. We kind of picked the border kit around this. I want to give a shout out to Charlene. She's the one that came up with this inspiration. She sewed the sample and got this all ready for us. So shout out to Char. And now Dawn and I are going to show you some of the panels that we have featured. So this first one is from Kaufman, I think. Kaufman, and this is some grizzly bears. Absolutely beautiful. It looks like glacier to me, so that is a panel. The dimensions are what I gave you earlier, and this one it will cut up perfectly. You don't really have to do anything to it. You just trim it down and it's ready to go. There are a few panels that you might need to add borders, or you can shorten these side borders and the top border and have a smaller quilt. This elk you would need to add just a little bit to get the height. But you could do that with a accent fabric and put a little border around that. So this is a majestic elk. Again, this is from Hoffman Fabrics. We have another Hoffman fabric. This has been a popular one. This is the bison. And the colors on this are absolutely beautiful. There's little birds on the bottom, and there's some geese in the center, and some beautiful mountains in the back. This one would just need a little bit of border. There's also panels that you can change the orientation on. So this one would be a vertical orientation. This is a storm panel from Hoffman. So you can see this orientation would be up and down or vertical, and you would just trim this down and add your borders. This is another vertical orientation. This panel is from Andover, and it's a great horned owl. You can see that this one's a little short on the side, so you need to add some side borders to make the width. Again, you could make it a little smaller by shortening your side borders on top and bottom, or add some borders. So this would be a different orientation. That's an owl from Andover. This one is from Hoffman, and it is a wheat field. It looks like a drive in Montana with big blue sky and wheat fields. You would need to add some borders or make this a smaller wall hanging. We've got a sea otter from Hoffman as well. This goes pretty nice with the border kit, has the colors in it, and this one you just need to add a little bit if you want to copy the pattern or leave it as is and have it a little smaller. This has been one of our more popular ones. This one is ready to go. It's a good size for it, and this is the moose. The colors on this go with the border kit really pretty, so you are ready to go with that moose. That one's from Hoffman. We have a couple from different fabric companies. This is from Riley Blake, and it's a large trout, rainbow trout, and that one is perfect to just get ready to start sewing. You trim it down and add your borders. So this is Riley Blake, and it's called Fish and Fowl. We also have another Riley Blake, and this one is a different layout. It's got 4 panels in one. You could leave it as is. You can see that the orientation of this is different. So one fish is facing one direction, one is facing the other direction. The nice thing about that is there's no up or down for the quilt, so if you throw it over a bed or over a couch, it's never got a top or a bottom. So you could leave it like that, or you could rotate the blocks and add some sashing. And then last, we have a new fabric company called Focus on Fabrics. I'm going to give you a close-up of these panels because they're really beautiful. These panels are Focus on Fabric, and you would need 4 of these. They're digitally printed, and you buy them per panel. This is a beautiful grizzly bear with water dripping off of his chin. We have 4 of them that are from Yellowstone Park. So there's the grizzly bear, there's entangled moose, which is those 2 bull moose. Then there's a beautiful image of an old barn with the moon. And last, we have a bison. So that would be those panels. You would join those with some sashing in between and have a really beautiful quilt with Yellowstone Park. So here's those 4 panels laid out. So I've put the 2 green ones kind of across from each other, the entangled moose, and then the moon right here. You would just add some sashing to make that big enough to have your center panel, which would go in the center of the quilt. All right, let's take a look at the components of the blocks, which are in the border. It's kind of a delectable mountain, so I'm going to show you how to make that. And then in the very corner, there's a maple leaf or a bearpaw block, which is kind of cute. So I'm going to show you how to make both those units, and then you can get started making your own quilt. Let's take a look at the fabrics that you'll need. So this is our border kit, which includes the entire border and then you pick the panel that you want on the inside. It does come with the pattern, A River Runs Thru It, so that's already included. And then it comes with 4 different colored fabrics or darker fabrics that have these beautiful shades in them. It comes with 2 background fabrics, so one here and then another background or border fabric. So those 2 make the larger pieces, and then these make the colors in that. And then it has this real pretty flange, and so I'll show you that on the quilt because it's a very small accent that is on the quilt, and they're just 1-inch strips that's added. So you would need 2 background fabrics, which are these 2 in particular for this example, this one and this one. You'll need 4 fabrics that are colors that you really like to go with your panel, and then a little bit of fabric for the flange. The featured items that we are going to be using are these marking tools, which is the white pen or the white chalk liner, then a couple of rulers, which make your life a little easier, so the 8.5 creative grids, and then a strip cutter, either the 3.5 by 18.5 or the 2.5 by 12.5. Some of our units are cut to 2.5 and some are to 2, so this would work perfect for that. You'll also be happy if you have a rotating mat, so that's what I've got underneath. This is the unit that we will be making 4 of. This is a Delectable Mountain unit, so we're going to make 4 of those. I'm going to show you how to get those started, and we'll also make 4 Bearpaw blocks. So let's learn how to make this block first. From your dark colored fabrics, you will cut a 8.5-inch square of the dark and 1 of your background fabric. So you'll need a total of 4 backgrounds and 4 dark fabrics. You'll lay those fabrics right sides together and you'll mark a line diagonally from point to point. I'm going to show you the marking utensils that you could choose from. Frequently it's hard to see a line on dark fabric, so I'm going to show you 2 options for doing that. The first pen I want to show you is the pen from Clover. It's a white fabric marking pen, and the way it goes away is with an iron. So what you're going to do is you're going to mark a line diagonally from point to point. The cool thing about this pen is it goes on clear and then it turns white. So I'm going to make a mark here with my pen, and then you won't see it initially, but as it dries you'll start to see this white line appear. So I'll zoom in on that so you can see that a little bit better. The other marking utensil you can use is something called a chalk aligner. This utensil is nice because it is refillable and it doesn't dry out. It comes in various colors. It kind of looks like a lipstick container. So this is the refill chalk that you can purchase, and the utensil comes apart like so. There's a little rotary, and as you roll it, it dispenses chalk, so you can see it very well. And then when you run out of chalk, you open the top and you refill it with the color of your choice. So this one, I'll pick another fabric and mark on that so you can see how that works. Here's a different fabric. This one's already been sewn, but I did want you to see, she ironed this mark away. I did want you to see what the chalk aligner's like, so you can find the best utensil for your job. So this is the chalk aligner. I do like this really on wool, is my favorite choice, but sometimes when I can't see, the chalk aligner works great. So we have it in white, gray, yellow, blue, lots of color, even in pink. So you could choose your marking utensil. So as you guessed, you're going to mark the line diagonally from point to point. Then you're going to sew a 1/4 inch on each side of the line. So that was this example here. And then after you sew it, you're going to cut it apart right on that seam allowance, and you will have 2 half square triangles. So here is what you're going to yield. Here, let's go ahead and cut this apart. And you'll press this towards the dark fabric. In this instance, it's the blue. You'll press that seam. Then you're going to square up this block to 8 inches. Once you have pressed towards your dark, you'll square this up to 8 inches. This is when the featured ruler that's 8.5 would be helpful. This is the 8.5-inch square ruler from Creative Grids. It does have a diagonal line, so what you would do is you would line that diagonal line up along your seam allowance and then trim any excess and make sure that you have an 8-inch square. So I'm just going to work on that. I now have the diagonal line going down that seam allowance. I also have the line that I've just trimmed squared up with the 8-inch mark, and then I'll just square up any excess over here. Then I know I have a nice straight 8-inch half square triangle. Now I'm going to subcut this using my strip cutter. So now at this point you have the other half, so you'll square up this to 8.5 as well. So let's do that. Once you have your half square triangles, you'll have 2 from each color. So you'll have 2, for this instance, I'll have 2 blue, 2 green, I'll have 2 of this really pretty fern, and I'll also have 2 of this gorgeous purple. So when you have all those, you want to orientate them so that they're mirror images of each other, and then we're going to subcut this into 2-inch units. If you're comfortable, you can stack them, or you can do one at a time. So today I'll just pull this away, and we're going to subcut this into 2-inch units. So I'll use my strip cutter for that. This is the 2.5 by 12.5 inch strip cutter. So when I line this up, I'll line it up on the mark along the edge, and I'll start subcutting this into 2-inch units. From each triangle, you will yield 4. Continue working your way down on the mirror image. You'll do that with all your triangles, making sure you cut one from one and then one from another mirror image. So I'm going to do that with the rest of my colors. From this half of the half square triangle, we have cut it up. I do have them stacked when I sliced them, and you're going to shuffle the colors. So I'm going to take from this stack, I'm going to put the blue at the bottom. Then on this stack, I'm going to pick up 2 and put that at the bottom. And then on the next stack, I'm going to pick up 3 and put that on the bottom. Then I'm going to shuffle. So to shuffle these, I'll take this. This is my center. I'm going to move that over 1, there, and there. So then there is my delectable mountain block. That's that half. The other half square triangle will make the other half. So let me show you that one more time. Let's just backtrack it. I've already shuffled them so that each color is different. Then I'm just going to move them over. 1, 2, and 3. So there's your delectable mountain on one half, and then finish the other. You're going to make 4 of these units in total, and then we'll do the Bearpaw Block next. We're now going to work on making the Bearpaw Block, which is right here. So you'll need a dark color fabric and a background fabric that'll be cut for those corners. And the measurements are in the pattern, so one will go here and one will go here. And then these units are made of rectangles and squares. So these are a mirror image of these 2 units. So when you get ready to sew this unit, what you'll do is you will lay this right sides down. You'll mark a line diagonally from point to point, and you'll sew right along that line. Then you'll trim it off 1/4 inch, and this will be discarded. This will have been flipped, and that unit will go right here. When you go to make the other units, they're a mirror image of that. So when you go to make this unit, you'll mark the diagonal line the opposite direction. So let's go ahead and do that, and I'll show you the comparison. So I'm using that real nice white fabric pen. It goes on clear and it turns white. You'll mark that line, and I want to just show you we have mirror images. So you'll see this one's going this direction, and here's that white line appearing right now. This one's going to go that direction. So remember, when this gets flipped over, that lives there. This one gets sewn right on the line, cut off the excess. That one will look like that, and it'll go there. So that's how you'll make your Bearpaw unit. All these measurements are in the pattern, and you can use whatever fabric you want here. You'll have enough in your kit to choose, but you only need to make 2 Bearpaw units because they go on the long borders. So only 2 of those units. When you start sewing your quilt together, you'll have 2 short borders. So this is a short border here. So the short borders will go on first, and they'll go on the sides. You'll add that unit, and then you'll sew on your top and your bottom unit. You'll see that the long borders have the Bearpaw Block and then the delectable mountain. I want to show you a little more close-up of this flange. This is cut 1 inch and then folded in half, and let's get a little closer on that. Here's a close-up of the flange. It's a 1 inch strip. It's folded in half, wrong sides together, so the right sides are out, and then you stitch it down along the border prior to sewing on that side border. And when you're all finished and this border is sewn on, you'll just have this little cusp of color about 1/4 inch showing, which really grabs the highlights in this panel. All right, we did it. We made a cute quilt featuring a beautiful panel in the center and then adding an accent border around the outside. We used the pattern A River Runs Thru It. We have the pattern here at the shop and kits for the border. We also have all the tools that I showed you. Remember, those are on sale until August 25th with 15% off. You can also use the coupon code PANEL, P-A-N-E-L, on our website, and you can buy them on our website. We also offer curbside pickup, so you can do the shopping from home and then swing on by and we'll bring it out to you. Or we'd love to see you in the store so you can sign up for the drawing. Remember, it's a really cool thing. It's that cool light pad. Thanks for joining me today. We made a delectable mountain, we made a Bearpaw Block and put our favorite panel on the inside. We added a little accent with this little flange on the inside, and it would be a perfect thing for a gift. If you have any questions or want to join us on Facebook Live, we'll be there on Mountain Standard Time, August 25th at 1 o'clock. So we're going to do this same project on Facebook Live. It should be fun. It might be a ride, but we'll love to have you. Take care. This is Jenny from the Sewing Palace in Helena, Montana.